Welcome to our channel and our first video. Our first video today is going to be making homemade jalapeno poppers. And what we did already was we went ahead and we got our poppers cleaned, cut, de-seeded, and deveined. We washed them and then we let them set out on the counter until they're completely dry. So we have all our ingredients ready to go. And when we make our jalapeno poppers, we actually do a cream cheese and shredded cheese mixture. Cream cheese, we have 16 ounces. We have a bowl of milk. We have a bowl of all-purpose flour. And we have a bowl of Italian breadcrumbs. Now we're going to go ahead and get our shredded cheese. And what we use is just a mixture of Colby Jack. And we use about 3 cups. So we're going to go ahead and get that shredded cheese and mix it in. Okay, here we are. Here is our cream cheese mixture. And like I said, it is just 16 ounces of softened cream cheese. And then it is another 3 cups of shredded cheese, whatever type of cheese you prefer. Like I said, we are using Colby Jack in ours today. So the next step we're going to do is we are actually going to take our cheese mixture and we are going to fill all our little jalapeno popper halves that we have laid out on the counter here that have been air drying for a little while. Pretty simple. Like I said, all we're going to do is we are just going to take our cheese mixture and we are going to fill the halves. And we like to do the cream cheese and the shredded cheese mixture because it actually makes it more workable. Because if you just do the shredded cheese, obviously it's going to fall all over. So we are going to fill them up so it's just about level. So there's what they look like when they're full. So we're going to go ahead and see how far we get with the ingredients that we have in the bowl. And then that way we can give you an idea of how many poppers that you need. We were able to use all our cheese mixture. So the 16 ounces of cream cheese and the 3 cups of shredded cheese at your choice did about 40 halves, so you would need about 20 poppers. They're all about medium size, so you can go ahead and see what those look like. They're all stuffed and ready to go for the next step. And the next step is you need milk and flour. So what we're going to do is you just take each individual popper and you drop it in the milk, and then you coat it with the flour. Once the poppers are coated, we actually lay them out and let them sit for about 10 minutes until they dry up. So let's go ahead and get the next step done. So just dip it in the milk until it's completely immersed, and then we're just going to toss it in the flour so it's completely covered. And then once it's covered, like I said, we're just going to line them up on wax paper on the counter and let them air dry. We normally let them sit for about 10 minutes just for everything to dry up before we move on to the next step. Okay, here we are. The next step is finished. We were able to get all the poppers. We dipped it in milk and then we went ahead and rolled it in flour, so they are all done. And they've been sitting on the counter for about 10 minutes now, just so the moisture can get out of the flour and we can work with them nicely. So the next step with this recipe is we are actually going to dip them in milk again, and then we are going to roll them in breadcrumbs. For our breadcrumbs, we just chose just a regular Italian breadcrumbs. You can use any type. You can use plain. You can use panko if you prefer a heavier breading. But just remember, when you bread these, you actually are going to bread it with the breadcrumbs twice. So we are going to do this following step twice. We are going to dip it in milk and breadcrumbs. We're going to lay them out on the counter and let them dry again for about another 10 minutes. After they're dried and settled, we are going to dip them in milk and roll them in breadcrumbs for a second time. So the next step is done, where we just rolled them in milk and then rolled them in breadcrumbs. And I'm going to try to give you a close-up so you can see how some of them, it's like peeking through where you can still see the flour. This is the reason why we actually do 2 coats of breadcrumbs. So far we used the 16 ounces of cream cheese, the 3 cups of shredded cheese of your choice. We had about 20 poppers, cut, halved, cleaned, and we used about 1 cup of flour for the first coating. I think we used about 2 cups of milk so far and about 2 cups of breadcrumbs. So for the next step, what we're going to do is we're actually going to immerse these in milk again, and then we're going to roll them in breadcrumbs, and then we're going to see how they look and set them out on the counter to dry for about 10 more minutes. Okay, just to show you exactly what we're doing is we're just taking one of the poppers that was breaded with the flour in the first round of breadcrumbs so far. We just have a big bowl of milk and we just completely immerse it and then just let it drip off a little bit. Put it in your bowl of breadcrumbs and just make sure that it is completely coated. And if you see any peek through spots, you can actually just dip it in the milk again and then re-bread it. You don't want there to be any spots that are not breaded, because if you try to deep fry them, it'll just explode out into your oil. And okay, our poppers are finally finished. So what we did here is the ones on the left hand side, we actually rolled in plain breadcrumbs, Italian flavored. We did this twice. So these, it was the jalapeno half stuffed with the cheese mixture, dipped in milk, rolled in flour, then we dipped it in milk, rolled it in Italian breadcrumbs, dipped it in milk again, and did a second coating of regular Italian flavored breadcrumbs. Now on the right hand side, I'm pretty sure you can see the difference in the video. These we actually did one coating of Italian breadcrumbs and one coating of the panko breadcrumbs, just to show you the difference. In case you like the thicker, heavier crunch when they're deep fried, definitely go with the panko breadcrumbs, but either way, they're pretty good. So we are going to let them sit out on the counter and completely dry out. We'll probably let them sit for about a half an hour or so. And these actually freeze up pretty good. So once they're fully dry and all the moisture is out, you can just throw them in a Ziploc baggie and throw them in the freezer. And beautiful. And here's just a little added bonus. We finished all our poppers in the breading, and I ran out of breadcrumbs. So since I had a few poppers left, I actually just wrapped them in bacon, because the recipe, the cheese sticks together pretty good. So we just wrapped them in bacon, and we're going to pop them in the oven at 375 probably for about a half an hour, and then we're going to actually enjoy some of them that way as well. So I hope you enjoy these poppers and this recipe.